Should you buy your model trains on eBay? Yay or nay? Coming up right now on the main track.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike. Welcome back to the main track. It's great to have you along today. You know, for a lot of us, in fact most of us, the days of running down to the corner hobby store for some train supplies are pretty much over. We've seen hobby stores closing down all across the country. To give you an example, I live in a metro area of almost 500,000 people, and if I want to find a train store that specializes in model railroading, I'm looking at a trip of at least an hour or so. It's pretty much the same story I know in states and cities all across the country. Now, on the flip side, we have a lot fewer hobby stores, but we have pretty much any train supply we need now at our fingertips online. Now, I did a quick check, and looking through my own roster, I'd say about 75% of my locomotives here on the layout are from eBay. Now, that goes for these two Katy GP40s by Atlas that I featured here on the channel a while back, and also these two Conrail GP38s, also by Atlas, that I just acquired. I plan on patching these up for the MKT, and I'll show you how I do that in an episode coming up down the line. Now, I've been selling and buying trains online for quite a few years now, and I've learned some lessons along the way, some of those good and some of those bad. I figured I would take this episode to share some of those tips with you to prevent yourself being taken for a ride when it comes to buying model trains online. Before we get started though, I'd like to hear what your experiences have been when it comes to shopping online for trains. Leave some comments or questions down below. I'd love to hear from you and hear what your stories have been regarding that. Now, of course, I'd like to encourage you to buy from and support your local hobby shop if you have one of those. But a lot of us, as I mentioned, that's not exactly an option, so you can turn online. Now, shopping online gives you the ability to buy brand new stuff or maybe used or out of production stuff that you can't find in stores, maybe not even in train shows. When it comes to those hard to find items, eBay is one of the main platforms that I have been using, and that's something a lot of modelers turn to. Now, off the bat, I'd say 99.99% of the time, everything has been great, and I've acquired some really good deals. Now, the first thing I've learned that's helped me stay out of some troublesome situations is researching the product. Now, of course, one of the drawbacks of buying online is you can't exactly get an up-and-close look at the model you're purchasing. Now, if it's something brand new, of course, you can look at reviews of the product online, and you can also do that for stuff that's been out for a while. Now, the eBay listing should have a lot of images that the seller posts to give you an idea of exactly what you're buying or bidding on. So make sure you take a look at those pictures very carefully and also ask the seller questions. And this may sound pretty obvious, but make sure what you're buying is something that's in the scale that you model. My number 2 tip is to research the seller. Look at their ratings and the reviews and get an idea of who you're doing business with. You can find those numbers right near their username at the top of their listing. Number 3, and this is a big one, is to check out the return or exchange policy offered by the seller. Now, sometimes they allow those and sometimes they don't. Now, if the seller you're looking at has a no return policy and then you end up getting something that doesn't meet your expectations, you could end up being stuck with it. And that's happened to me before. And thankfully, I was able to turn around and resell it on eBay and make my money back on that. Now, personally, over the years, I've only had a couple of times where I even needed to think about exchanges or returns. Now, I'm not going to mention the seller or the store's name, but I wanted to give you this example here. A few months back, I ordered this chassis system hopper by Exact Rail from a secondary seller. I was pretty excited to get this in the mail, but when I opened it up, this is what I found in the box. The roof had broken off. The weights inside were detached and they were clattering around, and the package itself had dirt and ash inside of it, and it reeked of smoke. And I'm not talking here about a weathering job. I don't have any idea exactly what happened to this car, but thankfully the seller let me return it and no questions asked, and I got my money back. And since that time, I purchased some other products from this seller and had no problems whatsoever. Everything's been perfect with them. Number 4, I'd recommend you check out the seller's combined shipping policies. And this is, of course, one thing that's not so great about ordering online, and that sometimes things cost a little more because of the shipping cost. But if the product is something you really need or simply can't find anywhere else, it's just a part of the price you have to pay. Now, this is where things can get kind of tricky, and there are a small number of people I've run into out there who try to take advantage of you with this. Usually, each item for sale on eBay includes an individual shipping price. But if you order several items, you'll oftentimes be given a discount by the seller for bulk shipping. I made a mistake recently though and simply assumed a seller offered combined shipping, since most of the ones I've dealt with in the past do offer it. Now from this particular seller, I'd ordered 10 tiny detail parts. Now it's only after I clicked purchase and bought the items that the seller informed me he in fact did not do combined shipping, and because of that I ended up having to fork over $20 in postage for something that likely only cost him $5 to send. The funny thing is about sellers who try to do this is it's very easy for you as a buyer to do some very simple research to find out exactly how much it costs to ship the item. You'll also want to look out for this. Sometimes sellers offer a super low sale price that looks too good to be true, and then you decide to buy it, and then you find out they're making up for the price difference by charging more on the shipping, and they're pocketing that difference. Now, in my opinion, when sellers are doing this, it's pretty much a borderline ripoff, and it's not a fair, honest way of doing business. Now, when this recent seller did this to me, of course, I wasn't too happy about this, but it's on me for assuming things I shouldn't have. I'm simply not going to buy from that seller in the future again. Number 5, you want to look out for buy it now deals. Sometimes bidding between people can push the cost of an item way above what you normally pay for it. I've actually seen train cars go for hundreds of dollars if it's a rare or high demand, and that, of course, is the point of an auction. Most of the stuff, though, I've seen stays pretty reasonable. Now, a lot of sellers will offer a buy it now price, where there is a set cost. You can simply purchase the item straight out, and you can skip all the bidding war. And number 6, this seems like an obvious one, but be kind and be professional with your dealings with the sellers or buyers, depending upon what you're doing. In the end, and once again just speaking from personal experience, I don't believe the vast majority of train folks out there on eBay or other auction platforms are out there to rip anybody off. So as you can see, there are some pros and cons to buying stuff new or secondhand here on eBay. I've talked to a lot of modelers out there who tell me they would never trust anyone online and never buy anything from an online auction. Now to me, when I look at it, it's just the same as buying from a train show. Chances are you don't know the person you're buying from. And so just like with train shows, when you're shopping online for used or new trains, you want to use your best judgment, do some research, look into things first, and of course have fun out there where you're shopping for model trains and looking for some awesome bargains out there. Until next time, my name is Mike. We appreciate you joining us right here on the main track. All aboard and all the best.